The purpose of this Corning training video is to demonstrate the installation of the Corning FuseLite LC Splice-on connector for a buffer tube fan-out kit. Please remember to follow all safety procedures when handling fiber optic cables. Tools needed for this process are black ink pen, 2-hole stripper, 90% or better isopropyl alcohol, as well as your lint-free cleaning wipes. The next piece of equipment you will need is the Fusion Splicer. This is Corning's OptiSplice 1 Fusion Splicer. Ensure that you have acquired the proper Corning fiber handlers to perform this operation. The splicer also comes with the FBC 006H cleaver. And now I'll cover the features of the new FuseLite LC connector. The FuseLite LC connector comes pre-packaged in a blister pack as you see here. I've already removed the components in order to demonstrate each piece. This is your ferrule sub-assembly with your factory cleave fiber. The long piece here is the dust cap antenna, which will be removed later in the process. You have your heat shrink sleeve with integrated spring. You have your boot rear housing sub-assembly, and then you have your outer housing, which will be clipped on in the final process. The first step is to make a mark at 44 millimeters on the buffer tube fan-out tubing. Then the second step will be to insert fiber through the rear of the housing and slide it out of the way. Next step is your heat shrink sleeve. Insert it and slide it out of the way as well. And now with your 2-hole stripper, we'll remove the buffer tube to expose the 250 micron fiber. As you can see, I removed the 44 millimeters of the 900 micron fan-out tubing, and I put a mark at exactly 40 millimeters from the end of the fiber. So using the smaller of the 2 holes of the 2-hole stripper, remove the 250 micron coating and clean with alcohol. Next step is to load the fiber in the proper handler and clamp it into place. And now we'll cleave the fiber with the FBC 006H cleaver. Make sure the handler is properly positioned. Gently press the anvil down, cleave the fiber, and make sure that you remove your fiber splinters appropriately. And then next step will be load the handler in the Fusion Splicer. Make sure it's properly seated. And next step, we'll load the connector ferrule sub-assembly in its handler. First thing I want to point out on the ferrule sub-assembly is the little black dot on the very top. This will ensure proper positioning in the handler. Position the sub-assembly in the handler. Make sure that it is positioned all the way up flush to the end and that the black dot is facing upward. Close the handler. Then place it in the machine. Gently position it so that you do not bump or damage the fiber tip. And then next step is close the electrode flap. And now we will set the proper software for the fiber type that we're splicing, which will be multi-mode. First, we're already set up on the menu. Toggle down to Programs, press the right arrow key, and we want to highlight multi-mode fiber, right arrow key, and we're going to toggle down to FL, which is FuseLite multi-mode. Right arrow key, and we're good to go. Press Home, and then the green key. There's our altitude setting, and we're good. And now we're ready to splice. So next we will remove the connector from the machine. First, release the handler clamp on the filled fiber, and then release the clamp for the connector itself. So make sure that you hold the fiber tight and position the heat shrink sleeve over the splice point and center it in the heat shrink oven. And close the lid. When you hear the audible alert, open the heat shrink oven lid, remove the fibers, and now make sure you let the heat shrink sleeve cool before assembling the connector itself. So for final assembly, make sure you slide up the rear housing boot assembly onto and over the heat shrink sleeve. Now pick up the outer housing, slide it over the dust cap antenna. Make sure that you position the top portion of the housing with the black dot, as you see here. Slide it into place and simply push together. And there's your assembled LC FuseLite connector. Last step is to remove the dust cap antenna. And this is your dust cap. So make sure you place it back on until the job is complete. That's it. If you have any questions or recommendations for videos, call us or send us an email at cablesystems@corning.com. Remember, Corning Cable Systems recommends getting properly trained in fiber optic installation. We offer a series of training classes. Thank you.